3,000 years ago, a village of workers in the Egyptian desert figured out how to keep their homes livable through summer heat that regularly passed 100 degrees Fahrenheit. With no electricity, no mechanical cooling, and nothing but mudbrick, shade, and one very specific floor plan. That village still exists. Archaeologists have been excavating it for over a century, and the design logic behind it is quietly showing up in barndominium builds right now for genuinely functional reasons that go well beyond how it looks. In this video, I'm giving you the real archaeology behind this design, the real physics of why it worked, and an honest answer to the bold claim in this video's own title. Because I'm not gonna let that slide without actually checking it. Stay to the end, because the flat roof detail in this design is doing something most modern courtyard barndominiums completely skip. Before we get into the history, if you like it when a 3,000-year-old design actually explains why a modern trend works, hit subscribe. This is Homes and Haven. Every week I break down the real history, the real engineering, and the honest cost behind the builds people are talking about. Let's get into it. Let's start with what we're actually looking at, because this isn't a loose architectural theme. It's a real, extensively excavated archaeological site with a documented, specific floor plan. The village is Deir, el-Medina, home to the workers and artisans who built the royal tombs in Egypt's Valley of the Kings during the New Kingdom period, roughly 3,000 years ago. Unlike most ancient sites, where only foundations survive, Deir el-Medina is remarkably well preserved, and Egyptologists have mapped its houses in genuine architectural detail, not just guessed at for fragments. The standard house plan followed a consistent, repeated layout. A narrow, deep footprint entered from the street into a first reception room, leading back into a main living space, often with a small household shrine, and continuing back toward a rear section that included a kitchen, typically open to the sky, along with cellars for storage cut beneath the floor. Walls were thick mud brick on stone foundations. And, critically for this video, the flat roof of the house was a genuine, actively used part of the living space, not just a structural cap. This wasn't an elite palace design. This was ordinary housing for working families, which is exactly why it's such a useful case study. It had to solve real comfort problems with real material constraints in one of the hottest inhabited climates on Earth, using nothing but design and material choice to do it. Here's where this gets genuinely technical, because this design solved thermal comfort through 3 distinct physical mechanisms working together, not one single trick. The first is thermal mass. Thick mudbrick walls have enormous heat capacity. They absorb heat slowly throughout the day and release it slowly at night, which meaningfully delays and dampens the interior temperature swing compared to the brutal swing happening outside. In building science, this time delay effect has a formal name: thermal lag. By calculating the thickness and density of a wall material, you can genuinely dial in a thermal lag of somewhere around 6 to 10 hours, meaning the peak heat a mass wall absorbs at 2 in the afternoon doesn't actually reach the interior surface until around 10 at night, right when outside air has finally cooled enough to flush that heat back out. In a desert climate with intensely hot days and genuinely cool nights, this is enormously valuable, and it's real, well understood building physics, not folklore. It's the same principle behind why adobe and rammed earth construction remain genuinely effective in hot, dry climates today. The second is the open rear courtyard, functioning much like other ancient courtyard designs we've covered on this channel. A private, shaded outdoor space bringing light and air into a narrow, deep floor plan without depending on street-facing openings, while the household's cooking and daily work happened in a space that could actually vent heat and smoke upward and outward instead of trapping it indoors. And the third mechanism is the one most modern courtyard content skips entirely. The flat roof wasn't decorative or purely structural. It was a genuine second living level. Once the sun went down and the thick walls hadn't yet released their stored daytime heat into the interior, the roof, exposed to open night air and away from that thermal lag, was often the coolest, most comfortable place in the entire home, and it was used accordingly for sleeping and daily activity during hot months. Here's the honest, functional reason this 3,000-year-old design is genuinely relevant to barndominiums today, and it's a different lens than the privacy-focused courtyard traditions we've covered elsewhere on this channel. A huge share of barndominium construction is happening in genuinely hot climates: Texas, the the broader American Southwest, and similar regions, where a metal building shell, without real thermal strategy, can become a genuine heat management challenge. Deir el-Medina's design wasn't solving for privacy or family hierarchy the way some other ancient courtyard traditions were. It was solving specifically for thermal comfort in a hot climate, using mass and shade rather than mechanical systems, which makes it a genuinely relevant reference point for exactly the climates where so many barndominiums are being built right now. The courtyard for light and air logic translates directly and consistently with what we've discussed on this channel before. An inward-facing design brings genuine daylight and airflow deep into a large, enclosed structure without relying entirely on a perimeter of windows. But the thermal mass and usable roof elements are the genuinely fresh contribution this specific design brings to the conversation. And they're the two elements most courtyard-inspired barndominium content completely leaves out, focused purely on the visual layout rather than the actual thermal engineering that made the original design work in the first place. Let's get specific about the real, buildable 2026 version of this concept, because the honest translation requires real material substitution, not just a courtyard floor plan. Thermal mass doesn't come from a standard insulated metal building wall assembly. Those wall systems are built for the opposite goal, minimizing heat transfer through insulation rather than absorbing and slowly releasing heat through mass. To genuinely capture this design principle, a modern barndominium needs real mass material deliberately incorporated somewhere in the structure, commonly a CMU block, poured concrete, brick, or rammed earth accent wall, strategically placed on the courtyard-facing or west-facing elevation, where afternoon heat gain is most intense. This is a genuine material and structural addition on top of a standard metal shell, not a free design choice. The courtyard itself translates the same way it has in every other courtyard tradition we've covered. A private, shaded outdoor room bringing light and air into the interior, ideally oriented and landscaped to maximize shade during the hottest parts of the day, rather than left as an unshaded concrete pad absorbing and radiating heat back into the home. And a usable flat or low-slope roof deck is the genuinely underused modern translation of this ancient design. A properly engineered, waterproofed roof deck, accessible, safe, and designed to be lived on, not just looked at, recreates a real, functional version of Deir el-Medina's second living level, giving a hot climate barndominium a genuine cool evening outdoor space that most courtyard-style builds never even consider as part of the design. I want to be honest about the framing here, the same way I would with any historically inspired build style on this channel. No barndominium company is building you an authentic 3,000-year-old mudbrick home. What's genuinely happening is that designers are borrowing the functional thermal logic, real mass, real shade, a genuinely usable roof level, and rebuilding it with 2026 materials and code requirements. It's a design lineage grounded in real physics, not a literal replica, and it's worth being upfront about that distinction. Let's talk honestly about what this actually costs, because both halves of this design, real thermal mass and a genuinely usable roof deck, are real additions to a standard barndominium budget, not free upgrades. A CMU, brick, or rammed earth accent wall section costs meaningfully more than standard metal siding and framing for that same wall area, both in material and in the specialized labor required to build it correctly. The honest, budget-conscious version of this move uses that mass material strategically, on the most heat-exposed elevation specifically, rather than wrapping the entire structure, capturing most of the thermal benefit for a meaningfully smaller portion of the total exterior cost. The same targeted application principle we've discussed with other material transition design moves on this channel. A genuinely usable, code-compliant roof deck is a real structural and waterproofing investment, not a simple flat roof aesthetic choice, and the code reality behind it is worth being specific about. Under the International Residential Code, a standard roof only needs to be designed for a 20-pound per square foot non-concurrent live load, size for occasional maintenance access, not people actually living on it. Converting that same roof into a genuine, usable living deck doubles that requirement to 40 pounds per square foot, the same live load standard as a normal interior floor, which means heavier joist sizing or steel framing, not just a waterproof membrane laid over a standard roof structure. On top of that structural upgrade, You still need a real guardrail or parapet system for safety and a genuine waterproofing membrane system designed for foot traffic, not just weather shedding. This is a legitimate, code-driven cost addition, and it's worth pricing out directly and specifically with your builder rather than assuming a flat-roof barndominium automatically includes a usable deck. Combined with the same honest courtyard perimeter premium that applies to any courtyard-style barndominium layout we've covered on this channel. This is a genuinely mid-to-premium tier build strategy. Not a budget option, but also not the most expensive courtyard build style we've covered either, since a partial courtyard with strategic mass placement is considerably more attainable than a full enclosed multi-wing structure. Being honest means covering where this fails, the same way we would for any ancient-inspired design on this channel. Building this in the wrong climate is the most fundamental honest limitation. Thermal mass earns its keep specifically in climates with a real day-to-night temperature swing. Hot days, genuinely cool nights. In a climate with heavy, sustained humidity and less dramatic temperature swings, that mass wall doesn't get the nightly cooling opportunity it needs to actually release its stored heat before the next day begins, and the benefit drops off significantly. This is the same honest climate dependency pattern we've flagged with other passive design strategies on this channel, and it applies just as directly here. There's a second, closely related failure point that deserves its own direct explanation, because it's the half of this equation most people miss entirely. Thermal mass only works if the heat it absorbs during the day can actually be purged at night through real natural ventilation or night sky radiation. Building science calls this the nighttime purge, and it's not optional. It's the other half of the thermal lag principle, not a bonus step. If courtyard-facing windows aren't genuinely opened at night, or if a dedicated night flush ventilation strategy isn't part of the design, that mass wall never actually cools back down before sunrise. The wall stays warm, the next day's heat stacks on top of it, and by the second or third day, a home that was supposed to stay naturally cool starts behaving like an oven instead, the exact opposite of what this entire design is built to do. Skipping real engineering on the roof deck is a genuine safety and water intrusion risk, not just a missed opportunity. A flat or low-slope roof that isn't properly engineered for foot traffic, guardrails, and dedicated waterproofing is a serious liability, not a charming design detail. This is not a section of the build to improvise, and placing the mass wall without any real solar analysis undermines the entire principle. Thermal mass on a shaded or east-facing wall that only sees cool morning sun doesn't do nearly the same job as mass placed deliberately on the wall, taking the most intense afternoon heat. This needs to be a genuine, site-specific design decision, not a default aesthetic choice about which wall looks best from a street. And now, let's actually hold this video's own title to account, the same way we did with a similar claim on this channel before. Could a 3,000-year-old design change barndominiums forever? Here's the honest answer. The underlying physics is genuinely sound, genuinely relevant to the hot climates where a huge share of barndominiums are actually being built, and genuinely underused in current courtyard-style barndominium content, which tends to borrow the layout without borrowing the thermal engineering that made it actually work. That part of the claim holds up completely. What doesn't hold up is any suggestion that this becomes the new universal default. Real thermal mass and a genuinely engineered usable roof deck are real cost additions that only make sense in the right climate for buyers willing to invest specifically in that thermal performance. This isn't replacing the standard, more affordable barndominium approach for buyers in milder or more humid climates, where this specific strategy simply doesn't deliver the same return. So the honest version of this title is this. This design isn't changing what most barndominiums get built as. It's offering a genuinely underused, physics-backed strategy for the specific climates and specific buyers who actually need real passive thermal performance. And for those buyers in those climates, it's a legitimately significant idea that deserves far more attention than it's currently getting. That's the real story behind a design 3,000 years old, built by working families in one of the hottest climates on Earth, quietly offering a genuinely underused strategy for hot climate barndominium builds right now. If this gave you a clearer, more complete picture than the highlight reel version of this trend, do me a favor and subscribe. This is Homes and Haven, I put these breakdowns together because I'd rather you understand the real physics and the real cost behind a trend than just admire a rendering. New videos like this one drop every week. Let me know in the comments. Is your climate one where real thermal mass would genuinely earn its cost? Or does your region call for a different strategy? I read every comment, and it genuinely shapes what we cover next. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.